You see. Oh, yeah, of course. She can. Yes, please let her in. What is the relationship between attention, awareness, and consciousness? How are they different? Am I on mute? Okay. All right. All right. So let's once again revise the basics. Attention is the action what you perform, right? And once we do that action, we'll be able to experience. We will see what is happening at that moment, what is happening, which is awareness. Knowing that I am aware is consciousness. Okay. If still are not clear, just once again go to the first video. The second one, trying to understand from the subjective point of view, we'll be able to relate them. Right. Now, from our earlier understanding, we have an understanding of how, so far we know that biomagnetism is the energy currency of the body. We had an analogy that the body is like a beaker. For example, we are getting energy. What are the ways in which we are getting energy? The major way is food. So how is that food getting absorbed into the body? From the food which we digest, which we eat, it is digested. In the food, the energy particles are absorbed in the digestive juice. That is getting carried into the bloodstream. And the energy particles, the energy in the bloodstream is getting absorbed in the flesh. And after that, it is getting absorbed in the bones, then the bone marrow, brain cells, then finally the vital fluids. Remember, when we started, we saw that the role of each cell in the body, the work each cell does is to absorb energy from the input and excrete the output. If the output is not excreted, then the cell will burst if the excess is not excreted from within. And what are the different stages, different types of cells which are absorbing the energy is what we just saw now. At the blood, at the digestive juice, blood, flesh, fat tissues, bones, bone marrow, brain cells, and vital fluids. This is step by step by step. The energy is absorbed from the food and stored in the body. That is how we are retaining the battery. Okay, today we are going to see more into the vital fluids. Okay, and we also saw that there are different ways in which this energy is getting lost. And what are the ways in which this energy is being spent? Physical activity, physical work, and then mental activity in terms of thoughts and emotions. This is how we spend it. With respect to emotions, we understood that when we get angry, we are having a sudden burst in which we are losing all our energy. We saw that. When we get worries, even without us knowing, we are losing a lot of energy. We saw that. Okay. So these are the different ways the system is not efficient. We are trying to look at it from an energy perspective. From that perspective, we'll see what are the ways available for us to make this efficient. Because that is what is health is, right? At the first point, we know this beaker is not straight. If we make it proper and straight, we can store more energy, right? Store more water in the beaker. So the very first technique for that is physical exercise. The simplified physical exercise. Now, still, for mental activities, we are losing energy, right? The gap. If we make that process, right, our thinking process efficient, and if you don't think too much, or if you don't are concerned there, we can save energy there, which is meditation. Okay. Remember, this is not the only definition of meditation. We are just looking at all the sky practices from an energy saving perspective. Okay. From the energy perspective, we are looking at it. So when we are doing meditation, we are turning off all our senses. So we don't spend energy through the senses, and just our attention is spent only at the life energy. Means even the mind function, even the brain function is cut down. Hence, we will reduce the energy flow, energy wastage through all those aspects. Hence, after meditation, you feel like that conserved energy will makes us feel more energetic. And again, during introspection, what we learn is we learn a framework to eradicate worries and neutralize anger. We learn a framework to neutralize anger. Through which we can save energy. Okay, this is what we learned during introspection. Okay, 3 practices so far we have learned. If you notice, all these practices are more like conservation methods. Whatever is there, in that process, we are just making it better. Okay, that is not good enough to increase it. See, for example, we take another analogy. if let's say if you want to increase your bank balance, what would you do? What are the steps we can do? How to increase your money? We do savings. Okay. Savings savings is like reducing expenses, which is equivalent to, it's a conservation technique like meditation. Earning more. How much can you earn more? It's the same body, same system. We have the same time through the hikes. We do more work. See, by working hard, harder and harder and harder, when do we become millionaire? Work hard and work smart. Okay. Still, it's more like a, basically you're coming at us um, ways to find more income. That is what you're coming out at, right? Ah, exactly. Right. Uh, if you just think about different ways in which we are getting income and work harder, that is not going to be fully complete. Right? And if you want to attain more efficiency, or if you want to get maximum returns, we want to make the money work for us, not just we work for it, make the money work for us. It's the famous uh, this is how the paradigm now it is see in the world. So basically, we need to find a way how things work and take advantage of it. Strategically taking advantage of it. Okay. So we need such a kind of a technique. If we apply the same analogy here, right? Like an investment strategy where we clearly understand how things work and take advantage of how it is working for gaining more energy. Okay. That kind of a technique where we can just multiply what is there inside. Okay. That kind of a technique is Karikalpam. Okay. That's what we are going to see next. And to understand how it works, let's understand if there is any references of that in nature. I told you that this technique was been there more than 2000 years, at least to my knowledge. And even before that, it would be there. Right? And when they would have formed this technique, they should have observed it somewhere in nature. Okay. Let's go through that thought process and try to appreciate how it would have come up. Okay. If you look at a tree, right, let's say there is an apple tree. Okay. Where do you think an apple tree will be having a highest density of energy storage? Apples. Exactly. Why? Exactly. Right? Why not the trunks and leaves? I really don't know why not trunks and leaves, because if you look at the leaves will fall down eventually. And leaves is where the photosynthesis is happening. Roots and trunks, they are supporting the structure. They continue to persist there. Maybe that is harder, but taking an example from the previous, see what we introduced, that how energy is absorbed in the body, right? from blood, deciduous, blood, flesh, bones, bone marrow, and vital fluids. See from the same analogy into the tree as well. When we see from the apple tree, applying the same analogy here, if an apple tree needs to continue for its next generation, if it needs to continue for the next generation, it needs to give maximum probability for the next generation, the progeny to continue. Right? Whatever that gives the tree to continue for the next generation should be supported. So in an apple tree, let's see how it grows is the apples, more and more energy is getting stored because of wind or any other squirrels or animals. They might take and put it in some other place. In that place, after some of it getting consumed, when the new seed germinate, it has to be nourished. The space around that seed has to be nourished. That has to be fulfilled. That has to be supported. Okay. Similarly, whatever within us that is causing us to continue for next generation, that has to be supported. That has to be given maximum probability for success. This is an evolutionary instinct, right? Any life form, if you see, if it is driven by one instinct, it is its survival and continue of its progeny for the next generation. This is a natural instinct to any life form. Okay. And what that helps it to continue for the next generation has to be supported. Okay. Now, if we take that and apply it within us, what is that support continuing for the next generation would be the reproductive cells. Okay. Let's see one more thing with respect to the tree. Okay. From a tree, let's say if a tree makes 100 apples, does all the 100 apples become another tree? No, right? There are only few of them becomes another tree. And whatever is not become another tree, it will just fall down under the apple tree itself and will get decomposed. And the energy stored in that apple will be absorbed back into the roots and recycled back into the apple tree. So the excess of this energy storing mechanism, whatever did not become another tree, did not become another progeny, the excess of the system got recycled back into the system. The excess got recycled back into the system. Okay? This is happening in nature. This is happening in nature. When you relate that with us, what is it that is causing us to continue for another generation? Right? I'm going to call this factor as vital fluid or biovital fluid. The biovital fluid is a combination of cerebrospinal fluid, the cerebrospinal fluid, which is between the spinal cord, nourishing it, the reproductive organs, the reproductive hormones, and the output from there. Okay, this is all together, we call it as biovital fluid. So now from there, when a reproductive cell is formed, a sperm or ovum, reproductive cell is formed, in its nucleus, at the time when a cell is formed, when it is ready to be spent out, in its nucleus, when the cell is formed, there will be something called ectoplasm, which will get a trace of this vital fluid, and that nourishes the journey of the sperm, the journey, and the continuation supports the ovary to continue the life if it gets fertilized as well. Okay, this vital fluid, we don't make a baby every year, but still the process of energy production will always be happening, continue to happen. Right? Then this excess of energy production in the system, there should be a way to recycle that as well, right? And that process, that technique is what is kkyp. Okay, this is what we'll learn later tomorrow. Any questions on this so far?